She's running for president on the Democratic ticket, and we have some questions.
Okay.
Yeah. The chat's already going crazy. They're very excited. Before we get started, I'm gonna really quickly do this. Okay. All right. Okay, so first and foremost, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
This is probably the weirdest interview that you've ever conducted, I suspect, because, you know, how often do you go to a random person's house and then sit in front of their weird background and talk to them? As you can see, everyone that's watching just like respond in real time. Have you ever done one of these before?
Well, first of all, you're not a random weird person. Second of all, most of my adult life has been spent in Los Angeles, so this doesn't look that weird to me.
Okay, good.
The part about everybody on the thing, of course, is what it is.
Yeah. You know, that part is definitely strange. You're in town. You're doing some media right now.
Yes.
I saw you not recently, but you a while back went on the Dave Rubin show to explain to him.
That was here, wasn't it?
Yeah. To explain to him important concepts such as systemic racism and how it exists. So that was pretty good.
Apparently.
Yeah. It's not even new to him. Hello. You can sit in here if you want. Right there. Yeah, we can barely hear her. Okay, I'm going to try to see if I can boost your gain here, but you can just like yell a little bit or get a little bit closer to the microphone. Okay. This is the best we got, unfortunately. Anyway, today's probably going to be a little bit different than the normal interview that you get, in the normal interview that you do, but I'm sure it'll be fine. We can talk about like different trends in culture. Especially considering that you have a lot of prominence on TikTok. You're all over TikTok. You're more on TikTok than I am, I would say. How do you feel about that?
I feel seen and heard by young people. I understand it, actually. My message to them has been that they're not even 20th century people, and they shouldn't live their lives at the effect of bad economic ideas left over from the 20th century. So I feel seen and heard by them, but I think that's because they feel seen and heard by me. Okay,
that's cool. Let me see. Let's do this real quick.
They don't have an institutional memory of a time ever in their lives when it felt like government was on their side. And they feel that government policy, understandably they feel this way because it's fact, does more to thwart than to support their own dreams for self-actualization and living the lives they want to live.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Let's just start with, why are you running? Like, what's your goal for running on the Democratic ticket?
Well, somebody has to say certain things. This country needs to start over. We need to end an aberrational chapter of neoliberalism in this country. We need to repudiate the corporate tyranny that now owns our Congress, owns our government, and has its tentacles in every corner of our civilization. To me, that's what the Democratic Party should be saying. And if nobody's going to run for president saying it as a Democrat, I am.
Okay. That quite literally happened last time around with Joe Brandon. He and I guess 7 other candidates directly ran in opposition to Medicare for All at a time when this necessity was only being voiced by one candidate, Bernie Sanders. Has your perspective on Medicare for All and its viability changed over the years?
Yeah, I had a kind of Amazing Grace type of moment. Because last time I thought, well, Medicare, Medicaid, we can get there. And I did have a moment when I sort of got it. Yeah, we need Medicare for all.
What was that for you? What was that moment of change?
I don't actually remember it. I don't remember when it was. I don't remember if it was during the campaign or after. Forgive me, my phone is ringing.
Don't worry, I just called Joe Biden Joe Brandon. This is not supposed to be a professional interview. Just don't show it to the camera. Make sure that it's
okay.
Yeah.
I'm turning off my phone. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's all good. Don't worry about it. It's just like, this is not supposed to be a professional interview by any means. This is the most professional I've been in a very long time, though.
Why, you're on good behavior?
I'm being on my best behavior, yes. So there was another guy who ran on a campaign of trying to improve turnout for younger voters, and unfortunately, he's sitting right there on a cutout, but unfortunately that didn't come to fruition. Do you have any other opinions on how to mobilize younger voters?
Well, I have not made an effort to mobilize young voters. I mean, I'm grateful that they're responding, but I don't have any strategy like that. I'm seeking to tell the truth as I understand it. I want the American people of any age to have the option of a complete repudiation of this aberrational neoliberal chapter of American history. And we need to start over in this country. We need a new beginning. We need an emergency level transition from a dirty economy to a clean economy. We need to move from a war economy to a peace economy. And we need to push back against what is essentially a matrix of corporate tyranny. So to me, whether you're 80 years old or 18 years old, whether it's about the next 20 years of your life or the life of your grandchildren, it's about the state of our democracy and possibly the state of our humanity. Even the habitability of the planet could be at risk here. This is not a time to slow walk. It's not a time for incrementalism. It's not a time for endorsing someone that says the opposite of what I'm just saying because you think somehow the chess game of Washington will help you get there. It's not time for any of that. And if none of them are going to say it, I am. And I think there's a point to that, too. They become locked in by the system. And I think it will take, and Cenk was saying that actually, it will take someone from outside, I think.
Yeah. What kind of mechanism for change do you think is necessary here beyond just the bully pulpit? Because as the president, potentially, you will have a lot of powers. What do you think some of the greatest hurdles will be in undermining or completely rewriting a neoliberal organization of the economy?
Well, first of all, every president, no matter who, is hoping for a House and Senate that is aligned with their thinking. So that will make a huge difference. But even if you don't, you do have the power of executive orders. You have the power of the appointments of heads of agencies. You can certainly get rid of the corporatists who head the agencies in too many cases, even if you can't quite bring in the problem solvers, depending on what they block and don't block. And you have the bully pulpit. And also, we all know that this needs to be an outside-inside strategy. So I think the revitalization of the labor movement, organized labor right now is one of the biggest things going on. So one of the things they would really know that they had a partner in me, whether it has to do with beefing up the National Labor Relations Board, whether it has to do with the PRO Act. To me, that inside-outside elements would be fortified by our presidency.
So you're interested in beefing up the NLRB and giving more power to workers so they can unionize.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think about the strikes that are currently going on all around us in Hollywood? I mean, you've spent.
I was on the picket line the other day.
Oh yeah,
It's great.
I saw. Yeah, that was great. What's your opinion on that as far as what's going on with the
course, Well, there are two elements, and one element, of course, is the same with Starbucks. It's the same with Amazon. It's the same with the grad workers at certain schools, et cetera. And that simply has to do with how baked into the cake it is that stockholders and CEOs and their stock dividends and their stock buybacks, this profound and really immoral transfer of wealth into the hands of a very tiny few, under the canard that they would create jobs. Of course, their business model is not job creation. Their business model is job elimination and worker exploitation. So it's very fantastic. The response of the first Gilded Age was the establishment of organized labor, and the response of the second Gilded Age, which we're living in, is its repudiation. I think it's extremely important. Now, in addition to that, when I would do interviews, and before SAG-AFTRA got in, and it was just the writers, they were talking about things like a writer used to be hired to stay for the duration of the development of the script, right? And then they started doing this thing where we only need you for scene 1 and scene 3. So then that writer has to go work somewhere else to see if there's a scene 2 or scene 4 that he can work on, or she. And of course, this is also to the denigration of the product itself. So that's, first of all, just the dignity and the living wage issue and the decency, all of that. We understand all of that. But with the SAG-AFTRA thing, this added element of AI. I mean, it's extraordinary. You could take that they make you sign away in perpetuity your image that they could use in another movie. No, it's terrible. And I think Fran Drescher is doing a bang-up job, and I think she's making it clear. During the last campaign, Andrew Yang had written a book, The War on Normal People. And that was the first book that I read that actually I got it about the threat of AI. And I remember one of the things that he says in that book is, don't kid yourself. You might think you have a job where only you could do it. I mean, even like lawyers, they're talking about that now. Don't bother to go to law school because of all of that. So I think
but Andrew Yang's solutions were, not necessarily great, in my opinion.
Definitely. That's not what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the whole issue of AI. And I think, and fencing it in and realizing what a threat it represents. And not only to the issue of work, this could be bigger than that. So I think with SAG-AFTRA particularly adding the AI issue, it's important for all of us. And I think that what people are realizing, what I hope people are realizing, people need to realize is that don't think this doesn't apply to you if you don't work at Amazon, or doesn't apply to you if you're not a writer, doesn't apply to you if you're not a barista. It applies to all of us whose lives have become, which is the vast majority of us, whose lives are at the effect of this vulture capitalism and what it has become in this country.